Hey, what's happening? What's happening? Thank you for coming into my channel. Just wanted to talk about where I grew up. I grew up, here. I lived in Melbourne for 47 years here in Australia. My parents and I came from Chile, South America. They came here for a better life. They came here for a better future because Chile was going through kind of a martial law, the kind of political wars, and there was a lot of war going in my country, and so we came to Australia. I was only 4 months old, so I was really a baby when I first came to Australia. So my parents had to get away from Chile because it was just my dad said there was no future there, so we had to come here, had to come to Australia for a better life. And Chile, so we came here around 1977, and that's the year I was born. So I was roughly around here 4 months. That's my mom. I think that's what my mom says. So I came here, and so was that. So first of all, we were in Melbourne. We lived in what they call it the projects, you know, in we lived uh, in commission houses, in commission houses. Forgot what the place is called. Oh my gosh, it's near High Point, the shopping center High Point. There was commission houses up there. Um, Mambrinon, yeah, that's where we lived. We lived in Mambrinon for a little bit, and then we moved into Yarraville, which is western suburbs. For me, it's like Footscray. Grew up in Footscray a lot too because I went to primary school in Footscray, and also went to Sunshine High School in Braybrook. And I was still in. First of all, we lived there. We were at. First of all, we were commission houses in Maribyrnong for a few years, and then my mom was like, they just wanted to get out because my mom was didn't like it there because she was saying it's like a prison there, and I roughly remember a little bit of it. I remember it was pretty tough there, and then we moved on to we lived in some other place in another commission house in Malbrenon, and then from there we moved to Yarraville, and we stayed there in the mid 80s, no, in the early 80s, and then yeah, mid early 80s, mid 80s we kind of left there, and late 80s we went to Werribee, and that was in 1987. Came to Werribee in 1987, and I've been in Werribee ever since, man. I haven't left Werribee. Still in Werribee, still here, and still seen a lot, been through a lot, and experienced a lot. So that's where the places I grew up in, and had a lot of positive and negative experiences. Had a lot of downfalls. Suffered a lot of mental health issues because I worked doing jobs of painting and decorating, and really stressed me out too much. Painting and the stresses that I had to face, and kind of mental abuses that I had to face from the boss. And I was only 23, 24. I was smoking marijuana, drinking, and that created a psychosis. And that's from there I just went to the hospital, psychiatric hospital, and then from there that's when things started changing. End up getting better, but I keep getting back into relapses. Tried to work jobs, did a bit of pickpacking and warehousing and stuff like that, and but eventually, that caused a lot of mental health issues because I had to look for work, and fill out forms and all this stuff for Centrelink, and that was just driving me insane. That was creating more of my mental health issues. And then from there, I from around 2020, I end up being in pension because I suffered a really big breakdown mentally. And then from there, I just now I'm on pension, and basically that's what I'm doing right now, is just making YouTube videos where I can help people and help them, and basically help them and tell them my side of my story. That's part of my story, the stuff that I've been through. So I grew up in the western suburbs around in Footscray. uh, I also grew up in Footscray. We used to always go there because I had a best friend who lived in Footscray. So we always would be going in Footscray, because in those times in the 80s, we used to love playing arcades, and the pennies, the what they call it, the arcades. We used to always play games there, ride our BMXs everywhere. So we were like always playing sports, basketball, cricket, football. We were always playing every sport. So but I was also in when I was in. I came to Werribee in 1987, and I was still in. I was still living in. I was living in Werribee, but I was still going back to high school in Sunshine. So I was traveling from Werribee to Sunshine, and I was catching the train and all that, and that was like a hassle. That was really that kind of messed me up too, you know. And I was struggling a lot because I was couldn't really had kind of learning disabilities, but I also saw myself very intelligent too, because I I, I could see life different than most people. My reality was different. Even though the kids would laugh at me, so, thinking that I was lazy, thinking that I was always high, which I wasn't. I know sometimes I look like I was high, you know, and eventually, now and then I did smoke marijuana and stuff like that, but I never really had any other types of drugs because I just felt like I would really trip out if I did have other drugs. I really was scared of having too much those real hardcore drugs like speed or ice or any other drugs. I don't know. I think ice was back then, or heroin or something. I just didn't want to touch those drugs, so I stuck with alcohol and marijuana. But eventually, when I was working my painting decorating job, eventually that kind of developed psychosis, and I ended up in a psychiatric hospital in Werribee. And then eventually that changed my life, and basically it was very hard to work, to get jobs, because I also suffer from depression, and I had a lot of bad depression. But even though I don't know reason why, because I was raised up by good parents, good family, so life wasn't always bad. It was also positive. There was a lot of good positive experiences, but I did experience a lot of you know abuse from the system. The society will always kind of brought me down to a low level, and I did experience a lot of times where as a teenager I did experience times where we did get into kind of trouble with stuff, and getting in my 20s, my early 20s, I did experience in my early 20s I was working the painting decorating, and kind of friends and this and that, we will go out, go to the parties, and sometimes there would be trouble, but you know I did get into a few punch-ons now and then, and yeah, but eventually I always try to piece it out. I never wanted to start fights and stuff. I did have a lot of friends who always wanted to start fights, but I never wanted to be that type of person. You know, I always wanted to defend myself from people from who wanted to fight me. But that's where I kind of grew up. You know, I grew up in Melbourne. I grew up in being in Melbourne for 47 years, and I would love to go to Chile. You know, with my parents. I'm 47 years old, and I would love to go to Chile and just to see to see where where I grew where I come from. So my parents are in the mid 70s, and they're nearly in the 80s, and I'd just like to see Chile one day. Be there one day. But anyway, just that's basically where I kind of grew up and where I'm from right now. So right now, I just try to make the best of everything that I can do, and I try to think about positive thoughts, but it's not always positive. If you can tell how the world is today and how things are, a lot of struggles still go through. But I always do count my blessings, and I do be grateful. Read a lot of positive books or self-help books. Watch a lot of YouTube videos of people, who kind of have helped me a lot. And I've looked at The Power of Now, a good book. Eckhart Tolle has helped me a lot. He's given me a lot of insight and awakening, being present in the Three Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth by Doreen Cannon. And that's another good book. Haven't really read it, all of it, but basically I just browse through and I look through it, and it really makes a lot of sense about myself. Reason why I have this type of energy that kind of helps the environment. I Conversation with God. This is another one that's really helped me a lot. Conversation with God, Neil Donald Walsh. Very good book that's helped me a lot. It's it's helped me through my journey, through my spiritual went through, and basically things have been helping me a lot. So God's been helping me, so that's been good. And that's all I gotta say. So peace out, take care of yourselves, and look after yourselves, and we'll see you next time.